Okay, I think it's time to start this evening. Oh, the signature? Oh, thank you. Okay. Okay, we're calling the meeting to order. Would the clerk call the roll, please?
Store, McGuire, King Taylor, Harper,
Here.
Furtado, Ingram,
Here.
Goss,
Here.
Court, Esri,
Here.
Eisenman,
Here.
Tinsley,
Present.
Summers,
Here.
Clifford, Patterson, Young,
Here.
Clemens, Wolkin, Vachaspati,
Here.
Dorsland, Taylor, Rector,
Here.
Rosales.
Here.
Did you get Patterson? Did you say yes, Kyle? Okay. Okay, next we have the prayer and pledge of allegiance. Tonight for my prayer, I also would like to do a more inspirational paragraph. My neighbor Anna Walls Scott died last Saturday at the age of 93. I have missed our brief talks as she walked her little dog Prince around the block since her health deteriorated to the point she moved into the nursing home. Anna was an African American social worker and military veteran, committed to the youth of our community, outspoken and ahead of her time. She was not afraid to be herself in a world that likes to categorize people into stereotypes. For example, she was a political activist both as a Democrat and as a Republican at various times in her life. Tonight I'd like to share this passage from William Ellery Channing that reminds me of her. I call that mind free which jealously guards its intellectual rights and powers, which calls no man master, which does not content itself with a passive or hereditary faith, which opens itself to light whensoever it may come, which receives new truth as an angel from heaven. We stand for the pledge. And Geraldo would like to sing the, okay, no. All right. The clerk reads the notice of the meeting, please.
Notice is hereby given that a regular meeting of the County Board, Champaign County, Illinois, will convene on June 20th, 2019, 6:30 p.m. in the Lau Shields Meeting Room, Brookings Administration Center, 1776 East Washington Street, Urbana, Illinois, in said county for the purpose of allowing and ordering payments of claims against the county, receiving and acting upon reports of committees and such other matters as may be brought before said meeting, which said meeting shall continue in session from day to day until the completion of the business.
Okay, thank you. Next is the approval of the agenda. I would like to note a couple of things. You have a yellow packet in front of you. This is not an addendum. This is a correction to some handouts that were in the packet regarding resolutions that were cut and pasted incorrectly. So it doesn't change the agenda items at all. It just makes that correction to the handout. And then the item, which is 12B1, has been pulled from the agenda, which is the appointment for the Forest Preserve District. Are there any other corrections or changes to the agenda? Okay, ready for a motion? Mr. Esri? Second with Mr. Rosales. Any discussion? Those in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Okay, date and time of the next regular meetings. You will note from the list that there are no committee meetings in July per the board calendar. Otherwise, the meetings listed are mostly in August. There is a county board study session on June the 25th, which is next Tuesday. Okay, anything about the meetings? No. Okay, public participation. We do have a public person who has filled out a form this evening. Would Sarah Lively come forward, please?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for observing public comment. My name is Sarah Livesey, and I am the current president for the Champaign County Forest Preserve District. This is my 6th year on the board. We are up for 5-year terms, so I was recently reelected to my 2nd and final term, as the term limit is 2 terms with the Forest Preserve District. I am proud to be our president right now. We have a very strong working board of 5 commissioners that are seated for the Forest Preserve District. And actually right now, I'm feeling their vibes across the 15 miles just east of us right now. My vice president is standing in for me to bang the gavel. I was just texted that we have almost over 50 participants in our audience tonight for our Forest Preserve District board meeting. We have a very active committee life that supports our board of directors. So at the Forest Preserve District, as many of you are challenged and commissioned to do, you worry about the fiduciary responsibility of the county, and that is your charge for your constituents. Similarly, at the Forest Preserve District, we are charged completely as the fiduciary responsible entity overseeing the entire county's conservation needs. We are the only entity charged with conservation in the county. The park districts and some of the other wonderful amenity groups that do things here have a comparable, more of a 2-phase charge. And it's not just conservation, but it's also public amenity, and it's outreach, and it's the wonderful programs that they give to our community. But at the Forest Preserve District, our charge is conservation. But as a board of commissioner, the funny thing is, we rarely do conservation, as I'm sure you are not surprised with. As a commissioner, my job is tax levy. My job is to worry about these finances. My job is to oversee policies. That is my job. And only with the experience that comes with that can we make good decisions for your constituents. When we look to make decisions on a conservation-wide basis, we go to the many advisory groups that I was just saying are sitting in my audience tonight. We go to our compensation committee to make sure that our employees are compensated correctly. We go to our diversity and inclusion committee to make sure that our programs are reaching the right people. We make sure and go to our citizen advisory committee when we want those new people in the county that are just getting hungry to get involved in conservation, and that they can have a say in what kind of conservation efforts are going on in this county. And of course, our foundation. Our foundation is an advisory committee that serves us as the Board of Commissioners to help us fundraise for all of those things that we know there just isn't money for, but have to happen. And so as you see, the Board of Commissioners, the five-person Board of Commissioners is charged with a very high-level, policy-driven and fiduciary responsibility, which I'm sure does not surprise you. But we are supported by many advisory committees within the Forest Preserve District, very high-functioning level. And at this point in our juncture in our journey, we are moving forward with a very big financial investment of trying to find the funds, as everyone does, with financial and aging infrastructure, right? And also conserving and preserving these very important natural spaces throughout the county. From Tolono to Rantoul to Sedoris to Homer to Mahomet, that's all us. Every one of you in this room, that's us. And that's our job. And so the work that we do is critical, this 5-person board and the experience that that board has. So in saying that, I do just want to close with a very personal thank you to every single one of you that listened and helped us. This process is new, I know, in appointment status, but had we known we could have public input at any time, we would have most certainly reached out much earlier. When the appointment was posted, however, the person, Bobby Harakovich, was, in our mind, to be reseated. There has never been disciplinary action nor anything said of Ms. Harakovich and her work at the Forest Preserve District. She is a 30-year veteran of park and recreation and administration. She has administered for municipalities as well as the Champaign Park District Executive Director. She's won national and regional awards for her work, not only in conservation, but mostly in administration, because that's what I said right earlier. That's what we do. That's what we really do on the books. And so I cannot think of a better candidate to serve on this board, especially at this place we're at right now with our visioning and strategic planning that my 5-person board has worked so hard on the last 6 months to move forward as a team. So I really, again, I will close with a thank you. And thank you for listening. Thank you for being so open to public comment and for us to reach out and have a say in what goes on over at that Forest Preserve District. I can tell you that this 5-person board is extremely dedicated to every one of the 4,000 acres that we preserve for Champaign County. There is no compensation for the Forest Preserve District Board, no stipend for meetings. We don't even get a free round of golf. There's nothing, guys.
We
But
need
feel-
to
yes,
wrap up. Okay.
But we feel happy every time we leave our board meetings, like I will tonight. So thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other public comment this evening? Okay, seeing none, public comment is closed. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. Can the executive get a motion to approve the consent agenda? Mr. Patterson? Mr. McGuire? Any discussion? Those in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries. I'm sorry, pardon? Oh, right, roll call. I'm sorry, I always forget that. Roll call, please.
Store,
Yes.
McGuire,
Yes.
Harper,
Yes.
Okay, can we start where we left off? People have already voted.
Furtado,
Yes.
Ingram,
Yes.
Goss,
Yes.
Cord, Esri,
Yes.
Eisenman,
Yes.
Tinsley,
Yes.
Summers,
Yes.
Clifford,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Vachaspati,
Yes.
Thorsland, no, Taylor,
Yes.
Rector, Rosales.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Are there any communications from members of the board? Mr. Ingram?
Okay. I typed it out today. Just a couple quick things. One, this Saturday is the Girls Rock CU end of camp performance. It's happening at 3:30 at Blackbird in Urbana. Girls Rock is a camp that's focused on young women and non-binary students, where the instructors also mirror the kids. The only thing that men are asked to do is donate gear and roadie occasionally if needed. It's a pretty cool experience, I think. The kids spend all week working with instructors to gain musical and personal confidence, write songs, learn about new instruments, get singing tips, get pointers on what it's like to occupy space in a very male-dominated profession and world, and just overall to increase all of their radical points. At the end of camp, they have a concert, and it's a huge cap on the week, and it only works if the room is packed, so I've just been trying to let everybody know about it. It's free, and it's kind of fun to go and see what they've been doing all week and see what songs they wrote and learned. Second, on Sunday at 2 p.m., the Unitarian Universalist Church of Urbana-Champaign at 309 West Green in Urbana will be showing The Long Shadow, which is an incredible documentary about the racial divide still present in America, tracing all the way back to slavery, the Civil War, Reconstruction, and Jim Crow. To quote the promotional materials, The Long Shadow is not your normal whitewashed history of America and the legacy of slavery, but an upfront challenge to white privilege in the United States by those who have directly benefited from it, to Southern-born and bred women who put it together. So pretty interesting. And finally, my last thing is a couple of constituents last week had reached out to me about a person known to them whose mother had just passed, and when they had called for an ambulance the night that she died, the police also came along and decided to run everyone's IDs in the house for some reason, and found that the man whose mother had died had an out-of-state warrant. So he had been arrested and was waiting at the satellite jail for an out-of-state agency to either come get him or tell local officers that he could go. This was causing him to miss his mother's funeral, and I was being asked if there was anything I could do or anybody that I knew that could help mitigate the hurt of missing his mother's funeral. To this end, I reached out to both the sheriff and to Lieutenant Ryan Snyder, who is a constituent of mine and also happens to work at the satellite jail, at least to apprise them of the situation in case the man was having a hard time conveying his situation while he was under arrest. The sheriff was off duty and didn't get back to me immediately, but Lieutenant Snyder did, and he said he had actually been in contact with the man's sister and that he had personally made arrangements for the man to have a private viewing with his mother. He didn't give me a hard time for not having all the information because I had not caught up yet with what he'd been doing. And he said that even though it wasn't required, he still felt an obligation to try to help. He couldn't feasibly make it so the man could attend the full funeral with all the logistics, but he did give him a chance to say goodbye. No one would have blamed him if he had not taken action, but I do imagine that him thinking about a man who, regardless of his situation, was unable to say goodbye to his mother made him want to do what he could. I think a lot of times we hear about the negative side of police interaction, which obviously we do need to hear about so we can understand what issues are present and try to fix them and keep public trust in the people that we ask to protect us. But also I wanted to point this out as an incidence of an officer going above and beyond to help somebody who was in a very down moment. And so for that, I'd like to commend Lieutenant Snyder for his actions, and I'll be writing a letter and sending it to the sheriff to be placed in his personnel file because I thought that was very nice of him.
Okay, thank you. Anything else from the board? Ms. Eisenman?
I just had one question. I was unable to make the meeting last week for the cow, and so I was wanting to catch up, so I was up to speed on what tonight would look like, and I was unable to find the video on the Champaign County website, like where you could always go and view past meetings to watch. And the last video that was posted there was on February, and so I was just wondering where the videos are posted of our meetings for the public to know on record.
They should be on the county clerk's website.
Yeah, that's where I
And
was went.
if you go there, that's the most recent ones. Do you
So-
want to ask the county clerk's office?
Here, put it on here so it's on public record.
We just brought in a tech specialist, and we're getting caught up on the backlog. If you actually go to our YouTube, we have current videos up of the last board meeting, and I believe the committee of the whole. We're also working with public access to get the files over to them as well.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Okay, moving on to approval of the minutes. Can the executive get a motion to approve the minutes for the regular meeting of May 14th, 2019, and the study session May 28th, 2019? Mr. Goss? Second by Mr. Rector. Any discussion? Seeing none, those in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next is the standing committees. We have summaries of action taken on file for county facilities. Meeting was accepted and placed on file for those meeting minutes. The Environment and Land Use Committee has a summary of action taken at the June 6th, 2019 meeting, accepted and placed on file. There was a summary of action taken at the June 11th, 2019 Committee of the Whole meeting, accepted and placed on file. And then we're moving on to other business items. Finance. Mr. Goss, would you like to make a motion regarding item A?
Thank you, Executive Clopo. I move adoption of resolution number 2019-159, adopting and authorizing intergovernmental agreements for computer-assisted mass appraisal software known as CAMA for IGA number 1, a $2,000 subsidy. Is there a second? Yeah, it's Mr.
I'm back to you.
Yeah,
Mr.
back to you.
McGuire, you going to second that? Okay, Mr. McGuire seconds. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none. Those in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries. Okay, I need a motion for the adoption of item B.
I move adoption of resolution number 2019-158, requesting reimbursement of travel expense by County Board Member Christopher Storr for mileage to attend the Lincoln Heritage RC&D in Paris, Illinois on May 16th, 2019.
Okay, can I get a second? Ms. Cowart? Any discussion? Those in favor? This has to be a roll call vote, I'm sorry, because it's a county board member expense.
Store,
I'm in an awkward position.
You can vote for yourself, it's okay.
Aye.
McGuire,
Yes.
Harper,
Yes.
Furtado, Ingram,
Yes.
Goss,
Yes.
Cowart, Esri,
Yes.
Eisenman,
Yes.
Tinsley,
Yes.
Summers,
Yes.
Clifford,
Yes.
Patterson,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Vachaspati,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Rector,
Yes.
Rosales.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. All right, we're going to move on to policy, personnel, and appointments. We're down to item B2. Would the chair like to make a motion regarding I2? B2.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the adoption of resolution number 2019-156, appointing Kathy Emanuel to the Board of Health, term 1/7/2019-6/30/2022.
Can I get a second? Mr. Patterson? Any discussion?
Thank you. I would like to say that I looked at the applications that were considered for appointment, and I found that several were very well qualified and would have served the board with distinction, and I regret that only 3 were able to be appointed, and I do hope that the executive will acknowledge the applications and the good qualifications of those who are not appointed. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Summers?
I just want to state on the record that I do continue to believe that there should be more communication and transparency between the county executive and the county board with regard to the appointment process. And I believe the Forest Preserve appointment is illustrative of this need. That's all.
Okay, anything further? Mr. Vashaspati?
Yeah, I mean, piggybacking off of that, we saw during public comment today that members of the public, in fact, members of, the boards to which we're appointing people, were unsure as to when the appropriate time or venue or method was for public comment on these appointments. So, I think that I don't know what the right way is to sort of make that clear. But I mean, I think it's something that we can talk about and come up with some solution that works well for everyone.
Okay, anything else? Mr. Young?
So yeah, real briefly, I think everybody know how much what I feel about these appointments. So I'm going to be voting no on all three of them.
Okay, any more discussion? Seeing none. Those in favor? Those opposed?
No.
Okay, I think we need to count. So those in favor, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 14, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Are you up, Kyle? 10, 11, 12, 13. There's 14. 14. Those opposed? 1, 2, 3. Okay. 4. I'm sorry. Okay. 4. 14 to 4. Motion passes. Okay. Can I get a motion for item number 3?
Okay, I move the adoption resolution number 2019-155, appointing Julie Kamal to the Board of Health, term 7/1/2019-6/30/2022.
Can I get a second? Mr. Goss? Any discussion? Mr. Tinsley?
I just asked for a roll call.
Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Store,
Yes.
McGuire,
Yes.
Harper,
Yes.
Furtado,
Yes.
Ingram,
Yes.
Goss,
Yes.
Cord, I didn't catch it. Okay. Esri,
Yes.
Eisenman,
Yes.
Tinsley,
No.
Summers,
No.
Clifford,
Yes.
Patterson, Young,
No.
Clemens. No, not, I'm sorry. Vachaspati,
Yes.
No, Taylor,
Yes.
Rector,
Yes.
Rosales.
Yes.
Motion carries. Would you make a motion for number 4, please?
I move the adoption of resolution number 2019-157, appointing David Thies to the Board of Health, term 7/1/2019-6/30/2022.
Can I get a second? Mr. Esri? Any discussion? Mr. Tinsley?
Again, I would like to ask for a roll call vote.
Okay, would like a roll call vote, please?
Good.
Yes.
McGuire,
Yes.
Harper,
No.
Furtado,
Yes.
Ingram,
No.
Goss,
Yes.
Cord, Esri,
Yes.
Eisenman,
Yes.
Tinsley,
No.
Summers,
No.
Clifford,
Yes.
Patterson, Young,
No.
Vachaspati,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Rector,
Yes.
Rosales.
Yes.
Motion carries. We're down to new business. I'm looking for a motion for adoption of resolution number 2019-162, authorizing purchases not following purchasing policy. Ms. Cowart? Mr. Goss? Any discussion? Those in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries. Let's see, can an executive give motion on item B? Mr. Harper? You need to read it. I'm sorry, I didn't read it. I didn't read it for you.
Oh, well, yeah. I've been sitting in a tractor for 6 weeks. I can't read, so. Anyway, adoption of resolution number 2019-163, approving award to contract of Barbara Diatley of Urbana, Illinois pursuant to ITB 2019-003 for courthouse column base modification project.
Okay, second by Mr. Tinsley. Discussion? Seeing none, those in favor? Aye. Those opposed, I'm sorry. We've already voted, sorry, sorry, Kyle. Those opposed? Motion carries. Okay, is there any other business to bring before the board? Mr. McGuire?
Very quickly, could you comment on the issue of nursing babies at the county courthouse?
Yes,
The
I can-
article was different, I think.
Actually, I can have Dana speak to that. He's here.
Yes, I'm sure he knows all about the topic.
Okay.
What's your question?
Tell us about nursing babies. Tell us about what is going on with the room for our staff and visitors to the county courthouse. There's an article in the newspaper today. It showed a rather sparse room for mothers that were trying to have a space for.
The law change, the state judiciary mandated that county courthouses have a room set aside for mothers to feed their youngsters. It needed to be in effect by June 1st. We were in a compliance. We spent several meetings looking for space within the courthouse. As you might imagine, all the offices are filled. Has to be dedicated space, can't be a restroom. We're very limited with our offerings. No one would volunteer any space, so we came up with space that we utilize for custodial supplies on the first floor. It was ready by June 1st. It was not totally ready in terms of having everything removed. That was going to be done over the next month or so. But we had a room available. To date, we've had no one take us up. This is particularly usable for the public. As you may know or may not, but most of the staff has availability for offices within the courthouse for mothers to pump and save their milk for feeding later on, where there are refrigerators available to the staff in the building. So it's really a public demand. Again, the court security is in charge of the key and the room, and to date, no one has taken them up on its use. But over the course of the next week or two, we'll be taking steps to try and remove more of the material in the room. We've removed all the cleaning supplies. Things that were left were shovels. There was a Christmas tree, as I hope showed up in the photo, because we definitely like to celebrate Christmas. That was taken downstairs, as well as a few other items that were in there earlier in the week. So, did that answer your question?
Will the space be improved somewhat in the future?
We hope so. We would like to throw some paint up, and we'll see what else we can do. We've placed two chairs and a table in the room. It is a storage closet. It kind of is what it is, but we'll make it look as nice as we can and be a place that folks can go in and take a few minutes and feed their children.
Let me say it's not a small closet. This is a large walk-in closet area, and I've talked with the court administrator who says many of the offices for staff over there used to be designated as closets at one point. So it's a fairly good sized room actually. It doesn't have a window, but they don't really want a window. There's also some security issues in terms of what you can put in the room because it's in the courthouse. So it's inside security, and you have to be careful about putting glass and other things in the room. But we are going to paint the room, probably put down a layer of carpet and a big picture on one of the walls, like a wall mural on one of the walls. So hopefully that will help the ambiance of the room. I've also talked to the reporter who said they would be happy to take an after picture, which probably would be better in the, sort of the before and after would be a good idea. Ms. Cowart, you have something else?
I noticed that we're still using the name Champaign County Nursing Home. Is the new owners going to put their name up, or are they going to be using our name?
The name of the new owner is the University Rehab, and they will eventually put their own sign up. Okay, seeing no further business, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Let me say, Rita has packets for you for the study session so that we don't have to mail them.